All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, a constant throughout our State of the Union coverage from Kyle to Crystal to Marshall to myself was this. Biden needs to connect the struggles of today, from the war in Ukraine to high gas prices to high food prices to the aftermath of COVID, to a national narrative, a struggle. Give America a through line from our posture abroad to an ambitious plan at home. Instead, what we got was a fine recitation of the no American soldiers would deploy to Ukraine, but then a laundry list of Democratic think tank wants with no vision whatsoever. It's a speech already in the dustbin of history. And the more I think about it, the more I think that Biden's response to this foreign and economic crisis here at home will define him in the eyes of history, perhaps even more than his lackluster and wanting response to COVID. Biden did not invade Ukraine. He's being president sometimes, though, means you get dealt a terrible hand. And the great ones rise to the occasion. They use and marshal the public towards a common goal. They give America a way out as long as it takes and as hard as it can be. And yet, as we already referenced, just hours after the banning of Russian oil imports to the United States, this was Biden's response when he was asked about the trajectory of high gas prices.
It's gonna go up. Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
Nothing we can do. It's gonna go up. Incredible. Nothing. Just nothing. First of all, if your plan all along was to ban Russian oil with no measurable way to increase supply, then you better damn well sure give American people an explanation as to why they are paying more at the pump beyond, well, it's Putin's fault. But second is this. A key part of inflation is managing expectations. Firms raise prices not just from corporate greed, but from what they expect to pay in the future. Thus, this answer is literally the worst thing you can possibly say. Nothing we can do means the US government is signaling they won't take any meaningful action, which in turn is going to push the price up even higher. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. Immediately after Biden's comments, commodity traders in all sectors from food, gas, and elsewhere bet big on the price going up, which in turn, of course, affects future prices, which fuels a vicious cycle for all of us. Seriously, compare that to some of our past presidents. Remember FDR, the bank run in the first days of his presidency? His calming voice after taking office, asking his friends, the American people, stop taking money out of that bank, my friends, and if they would so kindly, maybe put it back in the bank. Explaining how and why it was necessary, rescuing America out of the immediate crisis at the time, connecting it to the more ambitious prospects of the New Deal for the American people. Where is that call for anything? For nuclear power, a nuclear New Deal, more tax credits for Americans. How about this? If Washington's going to raise all our gas prices to $5 or $6 a gallon, give stimulus checks to people. They better at least give us some release at the pump, no? How about repealing for a time the federal gas tax and then cutting a deal with the states, replace their gas tax revenue if they appeal theirs as well? That alone could reduce price maybe 30, 40 cents a gallon across this entire country. These are all things I just came up with in my home desk. These are people who are charged with running the country. They give us nothing. Their message to the people is, well, it's all on Putin. You go ahead and suffer. Hope you make it. It's only in times of immense crisis that anything truly meaningful gets done in this country. Our history tells us that. And yet, we have a man here asleep at the wheel who's beginning to act with the obtuseness of Herbert Hoover in the middle of the 1930s. Those of you who stuck with me during the Trump years know that my main critique of the Trump administration is that they were mostly useless, full of D-list idiots who were incapable of doing anything at all. And the few things that they did do were accomplished by people actively working against the agenda that the American people had voted for. Incompetence was the name of the game in the Trump years. And a central and a core part of the liberal elite's push for Joe Biden was, well, at least the adults will be back in charge. That alone was a huge part of the sell. And yet, what have we learned? The adults in Washington may not be as garish or boorish as the Trump ones, but they are equally useless. Take Biden's plan to send fighters to Ukraine. It was an ill-considered and it was a dumbass idea given how brazen it is and potential for escalation. But okay, he wanted to get it done. So the US announces fighter jets that the Ukrainians know how to fly are on the way. The Ukrainians obviously were ecstatic about this. But then what happens? The Romanians and the Poles, who actually had those planes, they came out saying, no. We're not gonna just send fighters directly to Ukraine. We need them ourselves. After some initial talks, then the Poles came up with this plan. Okay, we'll release the fighter jets, but we're not sending them to Ukraine, we're sending them to Ramstein Air Force Base. And then the US was like, well, no. Well, we can't do that because then the jets would be coming directly from us into Russian contested airspace. So then they put the kibosh on the entire plan. Can't make it up. It's like a comedy and a dance of incompetence. Like I said, I'm against this stupid ass plan from the beginning. But they can't even execute it properly. These bumbling, amorphous response will be the political death of Joe Biden. High gas prices, high food prices, a deal with it attitude from the White House on top of a hot war in Eastern Europe with it all over the response from the administration projects a tremendous amount of uncertainty into the global system and into the global economy. He has given us nothing to hope for, no confidence in his actions. America is a nation adrift, and it will likely be for the foreseeable future, given that the next person to take that office is probably the only man as incoherent and as incompetent as Joe Biden is. So, good luck to everybody out there. It's going to be a long 8 years. I don't know, Crystal. I mean, you just think about it. That fighter jet thing is a perfect example, right? You can't even do that.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.